put on a front end job interview. Everyone lies in job interviews.
Oh, really?
That's news to me.
If
He's the only one. He's the only one
If you're
now.
not lying, you're not getting a job.
En un mundo lleno de un montón de información, we wish to share our truth with you, as two bilingual Latinas en Nueva York.
La mayoría de cosas que hablaremos serán basadas en nuestra experiencia, and we invite you to join us on this journey. Welcome to Talk con Nosotros. Welcome to Talk con Nosotros.
Nosotros.
We cannot say nosotras.
Con
Helen y
Steph.
TJ.
Musonda.
Yay! We have our friends here today.
As you guys can say by the title, this is a guys talk.
Yeah.
Guys.
Guys.
Thanks for coming, y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super excited.
These are our friends from church.
Oh, wow. We're just friends from church.
We're
eh?
friends.
I thought it would be these are our friends.
Okay, let's redo it.
Just
No,
joking.
we have friends that aren't from church.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
We met at church.
Yeah.
The Lord Jesus.
Okay, we'll accept
These
that.
are our best friends.
Yeah,
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
That's how you have to say it.
So, do you want to do the recap?
Yeah, so we did a girls talk a few episodes ago. We talked about women in the Bible. We talked about Ruth, Esther, Abigail, Samaritan woman, and we kind of just went through their characteristics and how these are things that we want to embody as women of God. We talked about the narrow road and the wide road.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was it.
Yeah. So, today is going to be kind of similar, but from the guys or boys or men perspective.
Hey.
And yeah, let's just, if you guys can present yourself and say a little bit about you. Let's start from Musonda.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Musonda. As I mentioned earlier, I am a 20-something-year-old man. Recently moved to New York. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about what I do in life, but I'm in data science, getting my master's degree. I love God. Yeah, I was born and raised in the church, and I'm still here.
Where are you from?
So there's 3 countries. I am originally from Zambia. I was born and raised in Botswana. I moved to South Africa when I was pretty young. So, yeah, 3 countries for my identity, yeah.
That's what's up.
Great.
Yeah.
Hey.
TJ.
Okay. Hi guys. I'm TJ. I am also 20-something. Yo, I'm 25. I moved out here to New York / New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. Unfortunately. No offense to anyone. No offense to anyone who lives in Jersey.
We love Jersey.
Yeah, we love Jersey. And I've been out here for about 3 years now. I'm a software engineer, and
Nice.
I love God. And I originally grew up in Maryland. Yeah, DMV.
DMV.
Yeah.
And we all met at church.
Church. We're friends that met at church.
We're friends that met at church. That's a better way. Got it.
So yeah, let's start with Musonda. We are gonna talk a little bit about like Bible role models, and then let's start with you.
Okay. For me, I think ever since I was a young boy, the one person that really popped up to me was David. I think I really admired, when I was young, I think it was just that cool story of this young boy slaying a giant. Woo! Bible superhero type thing. But I think the more I've grown in my walk with God, the one thing I really admire about him is his vulnerability with God and his authenticity. He was not flawed. His flaws are very much there, recorded in the Bible, but he was always quick to apologize to God and be honest and say, I messed up. So much so that it got to a point where God is calling this man a man after his own heart, a man who consistently and fervently pursues God. And I really just appreciate how authentic he is with him. I think one of my favorite passages in the Bible is Psalm chapter 73, where David talks about how he looked at those who didn't necessarily believe in God, the ungodly. And he says in verse 3, actually says, I was envious of the ungodly when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. And this is a king. of a godly nation. So it's really beautiful to see how vulnerable he is, and that truly inspires me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also, I like that part. They show like this human part of him, and mostly in all the Bible, that's what we see. It's like people used to criticize the Bible. It's like, oh, but in the Bible they do this, and yes, because they're human. But I like what you said, like that he was like very prone to always like go to God.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in relation to dating, that's today's topic, by the way. Another focus.
Yeah.
What do you think, as someone like, in their 20s, how can maybe his character traits apply? Yeah.
Yeah, I think David, in relation to dating, it's really a case of what not to do more than what to do. And that's significant because I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 10 details that the Bible was written for our example and that we are to learn from it. And that was specifically from the perspective of the children of Israel, who did a lot of weird things in the wilderness. And the author's like, these things are written for us to learn from. Similarly with David, his life, particularly from a romantic aspect, is something worth learning from, including his son as well, Solomon. I mean, the one most popular thing is this dude saw a woman bathing, decided he's going to sleep with her. Then he plotted to kill her husband just to cover up his thing. And I mean, it goes without saying, anybody would think like, okay, that's ridiculous. That's something that I shouldn't do. But beyond that, the womanizing aspect of his life, which I think a lot of men perhaps don't really talk about, maybe gets brushed over. But his son Solomon went on to have 300 wives and 700 concubines. So it's like the most obvious takeaway from that is there's no need for like chasing women. You don't get anything from that. And then I think
you mean multiple
women. Yeah, you don't gain anything from chasing multiple women. And I think in terms of another thing to learn from him is just the aspect of, again, being authentic with God and apologizing when you've done wrong. Because he slept with Bathsheba, got her husband killed. And then the book of Psalms details his confession to God about, Lord, I've messed up, right? And sometimes as a human being, you fall. Sometimes as a man, you go after you're attracted to the wrong thing, right? Somebody that you know for a fact won't bring you closer to God. That's a conversation worth having with God and be like, Lord, I was attracted to this. I acted on that attraction. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Accountability. Big thing.
Yeah.
What about you, TJ?
Hot seat. Yeah, for me, David is definitely a figure in the Bible that I admire. I think another one that really stands out to me is Joseph. I admire a lot of qualities about Joseph that's exemplified throughout his entire story. I think his hard work really resonates with me. He was an individual that had a lot of integrity. You could tell that he was very grounded and principled, and he had a good relationship with God. He wasn't always the best at reading the room, because if your brothers hate you, it's probably in your best interest. Yeah, it's probably in your best interest not to tell them like I'm better than all of you guys. But he learned. You could tell throughout his story, he learned. He matured throughout his entire story, and I think one of the things that really inspires me about everything that happened with Joseph is that you could really see throughout his entire journey the fruits of his labor as he goes on through life. Like sometimes he had a setback. He went all the way back. He was like doing really good. And then he had a major setback. He went to prison. And then he ended up going like really far in the Egyptian government as a result of his hard work and stuff.
Yeah. Very admirable.
No,
even as just like, not just a man, just like his hard work and like, he read the room. He understood like certain things maybe you can't say at this moment.
Yeah.
Like, let's pause. Let's not say everything we may think.
Yeah.
Based on the past, and then forgiveness too.
A lot of forgiveness. Yeah. Later in his life, when he was reunited with his brothers, he had to forgive them, and I'm sure that was not easy because they literally sold him into slavery and changed the entire trajectory of his life. And it takes a lot of character to be able to forgive someone for deep wounds that like affected your entire life. So I think he is a figure that I kind of look up to in the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I like about his story is like he went through a lot. Like
Yeah.
betrayal from your family is like huge, and he didn't take that as an excuse to be a bad man, a bad leader, or a bad husband.
Yeah.
And can we talk about the episode with
Potiphar's wife?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, in terms of, like, you asked Musonda, how does David relate to, like, the dating, and Joseph, how he relates to, like, dating in our 20s and stuff. They don't talk a lot about his romantic life. I know he had a wife, right? And I think he just had one. Or
no,
as far as we know.
At that moment, I think he was single.
No, he was single with Potiphar's wife, but later on in his journey, he like married someone.
Yes.
He had a wife. He was actually given a wife by the Pharaoh. Yeah, but the incident with Potiphar's wife, where she was the wife of a high status figure, and she approached him and attempted to seduce him because I guess she saw something in him. She probably saw his character, his integrity, and it attracted her.
And also God.
Yeah, she saw that. And he denied her, even though he knew it would jeopardize. A lot of guys in that position, they would have instantly like folded. They would have folded just from the mere fact. They would have folded from the mere fact that she was obviously, I'm assuming, a very beautiful woman because she's married to like a high status figure. She's also a very powerful woman. She's in a position of power. So a lot of guys would have been attracted just off of that. Joseph said no to all of that. And then furthermore, he knew saying no would put him in a detrimental situation. And he still said no. I think that really speaks to being a very principled individual, because when you have values that you know and you have principles that are like at the core of who you are as a person, it's hard to get shaken in situations like that, you know? But if you don't have anything, if you're unstable, you're trying to figure out your identity, you don't have like grounding principles, a situation like that it'll mess you up. You're gonna fold in that type of situation.
Integrity, like I think that's the main thing that governs him. Integrity. Yeah. It's so funny in the story of Joseph. You sort of see the result of, I guess, relationship dynamics. Like even with his father Jacob having two separate wives, that resulting in a lot of a lot of strife in the family, children hating each other because this is the son of the wife that my father loves and he doesn't love our thing, ending up selling Joseph into slavery. So bring it back to dating, like that womanizing aspect of things can cause problems if not dealt with properly. Next thing, kids are selling each other into slavery.
Yeah.
Progresses fast.
Yeah. About David, red flags everywhere.
He had a couple.
Sorry.
It's the truth.
He had a bad use of the power. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
The contrary of Joseph. So when I look at these characters in the Bible, it helped me to, like, for example, Joseph, he saw what his dad did, and we were talking about that, like the family dynamics that were going on, and he didn't do that. He had his own, like, one wife, his kids. He didn't repeat the same mistakes. And then, so that helps us understand, like, sometimes it's good to have, like, those boundaries as women. Because sometimes men, they go out and about, they do everything, and then they repent and they go back to church and they just want to come and get, like, a nice lady. They've never been outside. They doesn't have kids, etc., etc. And they come with kids, with this. And I'm like, us as women, we gotta be careful with that. Yeah. Because that talks a lot about the character of a man. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I don't know. I mean, not to say that, like, you repent, right? But I feel like that's a lot of work that you need to spend on your own before you're going out to seek another partner. I have no experience with this, obviously, but or familiar family experience with it. Well, okay, maybe.
It's like we learn even from our own mothers, because I didn't grow up with a father, and that goes back to my mom's decisions, and I'm not gonna repeat any of that.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, like, kind of what we were talking about with Joseph, and like kind of like ending that cycle, that generational kind of curse, and it ending with him, because he carried the generations of like lies, of jealousy, of lust, of like so many things that he could have continued, but he chose not to. So that's really admirable that I like that he stepped out of that trauma. He got, I mean, you know, we don't know if therapy existed then, but like, I'm sure he spoke to God. He you know, he had his ways of healing, right? That we don't read, but we're assuming because at the end of the day, like, you need to heal before you move on and before you move towards your future and, you know, have a family and things like that.
Yeah.
So
100%. I think it really speaks to, I think Joseph definitely, in order to overcome that situation and that, like you guys said, that generational trauma, it takes a lot of like inner work and really understanding yourself to be able to overcome those types of generational traumas and adverse life circumstances. So I think that's something that Joseph definitely had. And that was probably a grounding principle for him throughout his entire life.
Yeah, touching on that, I think that had a lot to do with like my personal experience with dating, the unlearning and like a lot of healing. Because, you know, as you guys know, I came to Christ a few years ago. So majority of my life was in the world, and, you know, you do things that everyone else does, and it's normal, it's fine. So to be honest, I blocked a lot of that part of my life out.
That's right.
Because it was just, I don't know, it's just like cringy. I cringe when I think about it.
The Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's the Holy Spirit. Thank the Lord for that. So I feel like a big challenge that I might be facing now is kind of just being very like anti-dating because of my just negative. I'm unlearning, so I'm working on not being.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just because I had a lot of negative experiences with people that I just allowed too many things, and it was just too much. So trying to be more open, being more open to new people and new, kind of putting myself out there more. Yeah, because, you know, God isn't gonna just bring you someone at your doorstep. You gotta do the work.
Sometimes he does.
Yeah, but not literally.
God has different ways. You'd be surprised.
Oh my gosh. I guess.
Never say never.
Yeah. But no, so yeah, that's my big thing now. It's just to kind of like, put myself out there and be discerning. Be discerning on who I, you know, get to know. Sometimes it's hard because you don't know the person. So it's like you gotta spend some time. So
a little bit of intentionality.
Yeah.
Being intentional is
very particular observations. Just
Yeah.
being very, very thoughtful.
And
because the little things show a lot of the person.
It does. And I used to like look right past that. So it's like now I have to train myself. And then it's like I don't want to be overcritical. So I'm just like, you gotta help me like balance that out.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think I'm kind of the converse or the opposite of that. I love people. I think there's like there's a lot of people are great, and I have a lot of great people in my life. And my personal experience with dating, you know, I'm 25, I'm single. People call this like what, the prime of your life or whatnot. And I feel like a lot of external pressure from like people around me in my life. They're like, oh, why aren't you dating? Why don't you get with so-and-so? You're good friends with so-and-so. Why don't you guys get together and stuff like that? And I don't know. I think at this stage of my life, I'm still just figuring out what I want because I think that's important to have before you get in any type of relationship because indecisiveness is unattractive. That's what I've learned through my experiences getting more mature and growing up. So I'm definitely trying to become more grounded in who I am as a person so I can, you know what I want in relationships.
Yeah. That's honest. Thank you.
Mature as well.
Thanks.
What about you, Moose?
For me, I think my personal experiences have been pretty short, I think, in the sense that I've been single for quite some time now, which has been good. I think it's been done with intention. I took some time out to get to know myself a bit more. Never mind the dating scene and all of that type of stuff, but myself as a person, what are my interests? Do I really like music, or is it just something that I tell myself that I like? And being able to do that without the distraction of having somebody else to care for in a very intimate way. And I think the good thing about, and I feel like in life, there's two great teachers. life. One is God's word, Bible, right? Secondly is experience. I really believe in not making the same mistake twice. And I think there have been times in the past where I have made mistakes in dating that I have no intention of making again. And they sort of like govern the way that I move forward. I think I tend to be very, very patient with well, I have been very patient with women. Somewhat to my detriment. And now I'm at a, I think there's this idea that a man must relentlessly chase after someone, and this is a socially induced idea. It's also even a religious idea. I'm from Africa, by the way, and I've been in churches where like a pastor will preach and he'll be like, if you see a woman that you like, pursue until you get her, pursue. And I agree with that to a certain extent, but to a certain extent, I also don't agree with that because there's a verse that I like. I think it's Matthew 5:27, which says, "This is Jesus speaking." It says, "Let your yes be a yes, and your no be a no, because out of this, from anything other than this, evil follows." And that speaks to like the directness. I think I've in my experiences, I've tended to be attracted to women that are very indecisive, and that and me being the patient lover boy that I am, I'll be like, no, she just needs more time. I'll wait it out, or I'll continue to pursue. But I think I'm at a point where going forward, I don't really want to. I don't think I'm doing myself the justice of continuing to operate in that manner. I think we're all adults. We're very much capable of communicating openly and straightforward and being very straightforward. So going forward, I've just decided like, if she's interested, she'll be very clear in it. If not, she won't be clear in it. And there's no need to waste my time. Also, another third grade teacher is learning from other people's experiences. I've seen friends that are now married or that are now dating that have approached women that have been very direct and honest and been like, yes, I'm interested, let's do it. And I look at their relationships and it's just very beautiful, something that from the outside looking in as a relationship that honors God. There's no unnecessary premarital sexual behaviors. There's no unnecessary conflict, and that's stuff that I look at and admire because that's something that I want to replicate in my own life. So, yeah, I think that's.
Who makes the first move?
In their example, it was always the man making the first move. That is my personal preference, but
it is how it has to be.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think it's my personal preference.
You know that women, we give signals like
women give signals. I think that can also be a woman making the first move. The perfect example is Ruth and Boaz. Ruth went.
We love Boaz.
I know.
Ruth went and she sat by his feet or whatever, and that was her essentially making the first move and was like, dude, look at me, I'm here, right?
What do you want?
Exactly.
You want me to ask you out? No.
And so that was her making the first move. Some women tend to be a bit more forward and will straight up approach a gentleman. I don't think there's anything biblically wrong with that. If that's your preference, fair and fine. Like do that which is pleasing to you, as long as your approach and everything you do is God honoring. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But my personal preference is the man should make the first move.
So how do you guys handle, like you guys said you send out signals, right? How do you guys handle a guy that's a little slow, on the slow side?
Or like me. I don't be seeing signals.
I'm like that.
Well, I'm gonna share part of my experience goes with that. So for me, like my personal experience is like, yeah, they haven't been like ready. I wasn't either. And then yeah, I learned from my mistakes from those relationships. But yeah, like if you know you want something and you believe in a God, you know, David and Joseph, they were really brave. You know, like
Where's the bravery?
where is it? Like where is like that God? Like Jesus was super brave. Like you gotta show that too. And then also, I think the slow you asked about the slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Like, what's stopping you? Like, if you know that girl is we're all working on ourselves. But like if you really like that person, and then I was gonna say that you gotta ask God too, because one of my mistakes in the past was not asking God, like, is this the person for me? And sometimes God is not gonna give you like I send you a text message and say yes. Sometimes he communicates through the feelings. Because connections they don't happen that often. Like I don't have connections with everybody. I don't know if that happens to you. So if you feel that you guys have a connection and it's mutual, like why not? Like what are you gonna lose? Because if you like that girl, that means that she's trustworthy, that she's not gonna like, oh, he said this and blah blah blah. Like you trust her, so I think that you should use that trust to like talk to her. That's what I believe.
I think that's a really good point. Like speaking on that point, one of the things I don't necessarily like about the modern day dating world, and I know it's becoming more and more of the norm, but I don't really like the external pressure of two strangers to instantly form some type of like deep, genuine relationship with each other. I personally like, I think that kind of I'm a hopeless romantic in a way, so it kind of ruins the purity of like people coming to realize that they actually like each other, And I think that's best done by just being in the space without any type of pressure, just being with someone, forming like a friendship first, and then you guys start to realize, wow, we have a lot in common, there's feelings. But when you start off, like, oh yeah, we have to be a couple, like we're both attracted to each other. Away. Yeah, it's like now you're forcing it a little bit, and that's my personal experience. So I don't necessarily like that.
I also believe in intentionally. So you cannot be like if you already know there is a connection. Be intentional. You don't have to go like and date. I agree with you. Like I made a mistake in the past, not being friends, like not get to know each other. But like intentionally, like there's have to be a difference between this person and the rest of the friends. Because the world like out there, if I'm honest, there is the when you're single is when you get more like attacked from outside and then you get like
approached by men.
Yes.
Oh really?
Hey.
It's bad, and I'm glad that we have the discernment to say no, because they don't love God. Like you can tell right away the way that they approach you, but like for how long can we hold?
I'm so used to it. It's like I'm just like
it's like now it's become easy to reject, but like sometimes you think like the Bible says like God has sheep in other. How do you say?
Sheep in other folds.
Yeah. So we never know. Well, but like,
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Going off of your point, Steph. So you said, like you guys are getting approached by a lot of people, and you're kind of just used to it. Like at this point, it just like rolls right off. So how do you guys decipher out? Like, let's say there's actually like a really good, genuine person in there, and at this point, like it's just no answer to that question.
No, because it's usually the way that they approach.
Yeah.
You can tell right away their intentions. Like God gives us that discernment because we pray like God, if it's not for me,
take it away.
Yeah, and then and you see it like the way that they see at you, that they when they talk about you. What are they gonna say? Are they comment on my body? What are they? Do you know what I mean? So right away we know, and that comes with experience and time and prayer.
So it's not like a wall; it's a filter. It's like
it's a filter. Yeah. I mean, and it depends how you do it. Like if it's a guy from the street who doesn't know me at all and wants my number, like, are you kidding me? Like, but if it's somebody maybe like, let's say we're out to eat and someone approaches me and I don't know. I mean, this hasn't happened. Has it?
But what's the difference between a guy on the street and a random guy in a restaurant?
Say that again?
What's the difference between a guy in the street and a random guy in a restaurant? You both of them don't know you.
Yeah.
Is it more with the approach?
It's the approach and it's like instant. And it's like I walk past you and all of a sudden I want to talk to you. What is it that made you want to stop me? How I look? Because you don't know anything. You don't know how I talk. You don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus maybe somebody in a restaurant, maybe like, they're in the same place. They want to shoot their shot, but it's going to be a lot smoother and it's not like taken by surprise where I have to respond right now or else. You know what I mean?
So it's the approach and the setting.
It's the approach and the setting. Okay. Correct.
Yeah, I think because the reality is with men, this is something that a lot of men need to train themselves to lose, is physical attraction governs a lot of men's decisions. right? And it can't be more. It can't be just that, right? There's a lot more to a person. There are some
Yeah.
very attractive men and women that, beyond that, are really not great people. But with men, a lot of it also has to do with the culture of sex, right? Because it's this girl's pretty. I want to sleep with her. Let me get her number. That's a lot of that's
what
really
they
what
want.
it is, right?
Yeah.
So you a lot of men really need to unlearn that, and I don't even know if that's possible without God. I don't think it is because, and to a certain extent, it's not surprising because a lot of people that are say out there and don't perhaps pursue God in the way that they should do have that mindset because that's the mindset that society and the world has trained.
TV, movies, music.
Exactly. Exactly.
Everything.
Just becoming indoctrinated
Your
with all of
family,
that.
or your
Yeah.
family's
Can
like
we talk a
that.
little bit about depression from family, friends, and society?
The pressure. Oh yeah.
Me, I do have a lot of pressure from my family. Well, not anymore because I already set some boundaries. I already talked to them and like, don't ask me this again.
What are they asking?
It's like, oh, ya conociste a alguien. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm 28, and my mom at my age, she already had 2 kids.
Different
Times are
times.
different.
Yeah, different times.
I mean,
What can
How
you say?
do I tell her that? It's like, mom, no
things
anymore.
are so expensive. I can't even support myself. How am I supposed to?
Yeah, I'm struggling to pay the rent. How am I gonna buy diapers?
I don't know how they did it. I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah, it was a lot of pressure before from my family, and then my friends from Colombia, they were like, "Ay, and are you dating?" La la la, and I'm like, when I was dating, I was like, "Yeah," but then it's like, "Are you gonna get married?" And I'm like, "We've been dating for a few months." Like, what do you mean? It's like it's not that easy, and then I wasn't doing things in the correct way, so that's why things didn't work. I didn't ask God. I didn't have the boundaries that I have now. So yeah, there was a lot of pressure. Now I don't feel that pressure anymore, but I don't find people with the same mindset, you know, because I feel like
Well, you haven't.
okay,
You haven't found someone with the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we'll never be 100% ready, never. So
Right.
never wait for that. But like I feel like I'm more ready than the people that approach me. So that's kind of like, what do we do?
I think it's just the thing with these things is God has weird timing in this weird way.
Yeah.
You might think that, hey, maybe this is the appropriate time, but there's a lot of things that you still need to work through, a lot of
Yeah.
uncertainty in your life.
And
You
he
really
only
don't-
can see it.
and only He can see it.
Unseen,
At the right time, God brings the right people into your life for the right reason, and you never know when that could be. I think it's that leaning on faith aspect. But on the aspect of pressure, I think my experience has been a bit different. I don't really feel any pressure from my parents, maybe because I'm a man and it's a bit different. Like men, there's no
You
pressure
guys
to
don't
like,
have a
oh,
biological
there's no
clock.
biological clock. There's no when are we getting grandkids or anything like that. So maybe that will change if I'm single by the time I hit 40 or something like that. But I think with my friends, there is a bit of pressure, but it's it always comes up in a joking way. So like I'll call a friend, they'll be like, "Yo, bro, you still single? Like, what's going on?" And recently, all my not all, but a lot of my friends since I left home got into relationships. So people be like, "Yo, bro, you're the only one." We're like, "What's going on?" Like,
Okay.
whatever. And we just laugh about it. So I don't think the intention necessarily is to put pressure. It's just to
They worry about you?
not even worry. I don't think
They
worry.
want what they have for you.
Maybe they want that, but I think I don't even think it's that deep. I think for the most part it's just jokes. I think
Okay.
or maybe they think I'm too picky because I think I've noticed that with myself a lot of thought and prayer goes into things before I even like approach a woman. So maybe they think I'm too picky and it's like you're thinking a bit too much. There's no need to.
But it's good that you have boundaries and you have standards.
Yeah, it is good. It's definitely good.
Don't
So
worry about that.
yeah,
And we have time, right?
yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, all the time.
Pressure.
Pressure, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of pressure, mainly from friends and family. Just they see you with people and they just expect you to come up with like some reason why It's like, oh, you're with a beautiful woman, or you guys are with a beautiful man, you guys are friends. Why aren't you dating? And I feel every time I get asked that question, I feel like I gotta justify why I'm not dating that person. Like I'm coming up with an itemized list, and it just there's no like there's not a list, you know. It's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just I'm looking for a feeling, I guess. I don't know.
But you don't be asking that in the first place. But yeah, they force us to do that like a list. Like why do I have? No, I don't have to explain myself.
Yeah.
We're not dating because we're not dating.
That's
Why don't you ask me, why are you guys friends? Then I can give you all the reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And then they'll be like, why aren't you dating?
Okay, so yeah, there's not much pressure on my side, to be honest. I think my mom, she'll meet some of my, I guess, guy friends, or like she'll, I'll tell them about them, and she'll start asking questions about them. Oh, so what do they do? And that's when I know she's trying to like, but she won't ask directly. Because I'm her little, like, she doesn't even want me out the house past her time. So it's like, she still thinks of me as like, but obviously she tells me that she prays for my partner, whoever they are, all the time.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
From my mom's side, it's more like she's worried about me being alone in this country, which I get it.
Yeah, I get that.
But she raised this independent woman, so
Hey.
at the same time she trusted me. But she's like, they want the best for us, and having a partner, it seems to be a good thing. Because everybody's pursuing that, everybody's talking about that, everybody. So, yeah.
I think with my parents, it's the opposite. They're more concerned about me bringing the wrong woman for me. So it's less like, it's more of, are you sure? And less of, where is she? You know what I'm saying? I think they're really concerned about that, which I think is fair. They put in a lot of effort, emotional, spiritual, and financial into developing me into the man that I am today. So
Yeah.
Big decision.
I understand.
You have a child with someone, like, this is the kid's father,
Yeah.
the kid's mother. This is huge.
Yeah.
Whatever she or he has goes right into the child, right?
Big forehead.
Exactly.
So
We're
it's
talking
like
about
choosing.
And it's funny because I'm so similar to my mom, and it's like, wow, like that is genetic. Like I believe that's genetic. Genetically, how do you know?
It's genetic. Genetically, like, passed on.
I think that's what most people don't understand, right? Like we're at the age where we're making a decision, but we're also taking into account this might be the person you spend the rest of your life with. Most people who are just like casually dating, they don't see it like with that type of gravity. So they're like, oh yeah, why don't you just like date this person? Like it's not that deep. It kind of is that deep. I'm not gonna lie.
It speaks to the intention of dating, right? Because I believe from a Christian perspective, you're not just dating for the sake of it, right? The intention is to at some point marry this person. Whereas, say, I think if it's a non-Christian perspective, it's just dating, seeing how the vibes are. If we get married in the future, great, but we're just filling it out, which I don't think is the way one should move.
No.
Everything with intention and purpose.
To marry.
Intention all the time.
Date to marry.
Yeah. So with social media, it's crazy because I think I don't do it, but I'm participating on it. Anytime I post, there is so many people seeing you and see like, oh, she has the perfect life. She's mostly people that is in Colombia like, oh, she's living the best life. And I'm like, no, I work really hard, but people don't see that side.
Right.
And also we don't see the other side of other people in their relationships. We see them like happy and they post all the time, which is kind of like, I don't agree with posting everything like about a relationship. Like I think I never posted nobody.
Snapchat.
So that is, I feel like people like do like, they have false expectations based on other people's relationships that they really don't know. And then it's like, oh, they broke up, they this and that. It's because you're not seeing what's behind.
The first thing I go look is like, they took some pictures.
So just post it on the story so you don't have to delete anything.
Right? Or post when you get the ring. How about that?
How about that?
I'm single until I have the ring. Right?
Until there's a ring.
Like, which one? Nice.
What about you guys? What are your experiences with social media?
I think for me, I have a bit of a rogue opinion. Not necessarily rogue. Maybe I'm being a bit extreme. But I think social media does not create anything that doesn't already exist. In the sense that I could see two people that perhaps I know walking on a random Sunday, holding hands, and I can assume, wow, they're having a great day. He's with his girl. She looks stunning, amazing, and they haven't posted anything on Instagram. But because I'm seeing them, I'm making these assumptions. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
They may have just come from an argument and they're walking to a restaurant to have another argument about absolutely nothing, all right? But because I've seen them and I've had this expectation, then I'm already assuming that when I get a girl, I'm going to have the exact same experience. And then when we start arguing, I'm going to be like, why am I not walking with my girl on a Sunday holding her hand? You know what I'm saying? So you don't necessarily need social media to set that perhaps toxic or unrealistic expectation. However, I do think social media does to a certain extent enhance it, because not by the nature of the actual issue, but more so with exposure, because it's a lot more in your face, right? I'm more likely to see TJ and his girlfriend on my TL than I'm likely to see him walking randomly in New York City. So that exposure does enforce that idea. That's my opinion on social media. I think eventually I would like to get off social media entirely. I've already deleted my Twitter. Hey. I'm very close to deleting my Instagram.
No.
Wow. I'm this close to deleting my TikTok.
TikTok, I barely even use. I'm going to get rid of that pretty quickly. The one that I might not get rid of is Facebook, because I find it so funny. Like, Facebook is just hilarious.
You're an uncle.
I'm an uncle. I'm an uncle for real.
Yeah.
So you're opposed to meeting someone online? I'm
not opposed to it. If it happens, it happens. I believe that God works in any way that is possible. I have an aunt who met her current spouse. They've been married for 10 plus years. They have a child together. They met on I think it was OkCupid. I think was the dating app. And to be honest, of all the aunts and uncles that I have, she has the best spouse, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's somebody that she met on social media, right? So God is able to use anything. And the Bible has given us so many examples of that. Just because they've managed the social media doesn't necessarily mean it'll work out for me, but it could work out for me.
Yeah. You gotta be open.
Exactly. You gotta be open. You never know where your partner will pop out of. So,
Well, for me, I think dating apps are just for lazy people. And I've been there, and I say it because anything that comes from there is just people that's just lazy. It is hard for them to go outside and, like, if you're in a restaurant, come and talk to me, ask me something, like bring like a pickup line, something like catches my attention. And but in social media you don't have to do that. You just liking a bunch of people. You can like up to 100 and more people, and then just send a hi, and that's it. You're dating.
I would say there are some pros and cons to it. I think that again, speaking like, for example, similar to the social media thing, the dating apps don't introduce anything new. They just increase exposure and enhance that which already exists. If you're a creep in life, you're going to be a creep online. If you're going to be harassing women in person, you're going to harass them on dating apps. You're going to be sending them inappropriate pictures, right? That's not really something that's that gets enhanced. I think the pros to dating apps are perhaps they remove ambiguity, right? Because a lot of the times I can speak, say, for example, from my experience, women that are indecisive, right? They're interested, they're not sure. Whereas on a dating app, if you hit like on my profile and I hit like on yours and we chat for a bit and we agree to go out, the assumption is automatically you're interested and we're going to try and make this work. You know what I'm saying? So it does have its pros. I think the cons, however, are, I just think I'm an uncle for real. I think overstimulation is a problem. Like just too much exposure to stuff is where dating apps and social media are just problematic. It's not an organic way for a human being to live.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, speaking on that point, like you spoke about social media. It's hard sometimes to control like what you're seeing. You see other people's perception of or how they depict the relationship. For me personally, my biggest problem with social media, my biggest battle is I have like an overexposure to like other people's opinions. You're constantly like scrolling through your feed, hearing what people think about things. These are like thoughts that before like this era of social media were never like verbalized. These are all like going on in someone's head. And now you're hearing like everybody's thoughts. It's like if you're a telepath or something, you're just hearing what everyone thinks. So now you're hearing how they feel about certain things, which may not be valid or may be valid, you know? And like someone will post on social media like, oh, I think it's super weird if a guy like eats soup with his left hand on the first date or something like that. And then now you're on the first date and there's like soup on the menu and you're stressing out because you don't know. You're trying to like filter out everyone's thoughts, and you constantly have all these different opinions influencing your actions. So now you're acting in an inauthentic way. And I think that's one of the biggest downsides of social media, being like overexposed to like all these different opinions and conflict and viewpoints. So.
And adding on the overstimulation, I think, like, I'm working on social media, so I'm already on the phone for a long time. So I just made a Hinge, and I've, been messaging a few people, and I felt so bad because one guy sent me voice notes. But I said I would listen to it because I was at the beach. I said I was listening to it when I get home. And it was like 2 days went by and I forgot. He unmatched me. I was like, oh no. So like, I'm just tired. Like, I don't want to be on the phone and to talk to you. Like I'm just tired.
But you gotta try, because that's what Hinge is for.
See, but that's the thing. It's like, that's where I'm like, I don't like dating apps. I just think they're shallow. But then again, yeah, I gotta be open, so I gotta try. Okay, I'll try. I'll be better. I'll ask God to help me with that.
I feel like, yeah, most people, I don't know if it's, you made a point about people on social media are lazy, and you said like it brings out a lot of like what's already in the world. But I don't know, I think I disagree with both of those, because I feel like most people on social media and like dating apps especially, they're putting up like a front. Almost in a way, it's like a job interview where you like going through a bunch of different candidates and you have to put on like a false persona. We all, put on a front in a job interview. Everyone lies in job interviews.
Oh, really? That's
news
to me.
He's the only one. He's the only one now.
If you're not lying, you're not getting a job. Yeah, you guys should start. Anyway.
Maybe that's why.
But yeah, no, it's like you're putting up a front that's like not your true authentic self, and everyone is like putting up this front of what they think the other person likes. And it's hard to form a connection, when two people are putting up fronts and like acting like a certain way, or I gotta be especially funny, I gotta come up with a clever reply to this. That's just not
genuine. We looked up
authentic.
a scientific fact.
Yeah, you looked up a fact
in my conversation, because I asked him about something that was on his profile about like Earth plates or something, and I was like, "Oh, tell me more about that." And he did. He was like, "Oh, so tell me an interesting fact." And I was like, "Well, let me go to Google."
That's funny.
But you see, the thing is, when
you can say no. I don't know anything.
I mean, I ended up saying something that I did know about, like lippers.
Okay. Yeah.
The thing is, you made the point of somebody essentially putting up a front to impress the next person, right? But I feel that's something that also happens in real life, especially in situations where, for example, a man's just trying to get with a woman. You'll put up a front and say anything just to impress her and just to get her thinking, "Oh, this dude is like this, like that, like that." Then when you get what you want, you disappear. That's what most men do, right? So it's a similar thing with social media. Perhaps it's just in a different not social media, dating apps. So perhaps it's just in a different form. Because I think in life in general, I think there's nothing wrong with presenting your best self forward, right? Not everybody needs to see your flaws. I think the problem is when you use that to manipulate things such that this person, you present a certain aspect of yourself to a certain person, and then when you've got them and now you're 2 years in a relationship, all of a sudden you're this weirdo this entire time,
I agree with that. It's not necessarily like not putting your best self forward, but putting in a self that's not even you in any way, shape, or form. You see like an image of someone on social media, like, oh, this is how a guy that gets a lot of girls operates, so I'm going to act like that on the dating app, and that's not you. That's not authentic,
Yeah. And how does like your faith plays a role in there? Like on the dating, not only online, but like dating in general.
Yeah, I think for me, number one thing is faith is a filter. I have been in a position where I have tried to date somebody who at the time wasn't Christian at all, and then she was coming into it. And I remember, I think I was telling you the story yesterday, but I told her, no, I think let's not continue with this because different faith, different beliefs. There's no point in going forward with this. And then she's like, no, but I'm willing to learn and like sort of even convert to the point where like I believe in Christianity. And I was like, but I don't want that, because then you're going to be doing it for me.
For you.
You should be doing it for yourself, right? But I was young, I was foolish. We continued with it, and then eventually, obviously, I'm single now, so it didn't last. And the next thing is, I'm hearing through the grapevine that I essentially manipulated her into picking up Christianity when she didn't necessarily want that. And so you learn from your own experiences, where I'm at a point right now where faith for me is a filter. If we do not have the same faith, it's not going anywhere. Not only for me, but I think it's the best way to honor God. And if we at some point have children, I do not want to be in a position whereby kids in the house are getting confused as to what is the appropriate thing to believe. My mother grew up in a household that was both Christian, but say different denominations. And one of the denominations was Seventh-day Adventist. And this Seventh-day Adventists believe in keeping the Sabbath. So on the Sabbath, you're trying to go to church, but then there's the expectation that you must do other things at home and you can't go to church and all of that type of stuff. I don't think a child deserves to grow up in an environment where there's confusion like that. So number one thing is filter out. There's no meeting of the minds on faith. There's no point in it.
That jumps into our question. How important is shared faith? So you answered that.
Yeah.
What about you, TJ?
I think shared faith is important for sure. I don't think I am as stringent personally as Musonda. I just want someone who has a relationship or genuine curiosity to get to know God. That's the least you could ask for. But that's like the bar that's down there.
That's
it's like
the low bar.
Yeah, that's a low bar. High bar would be like shared faith, obviously. But
you take both.
I'll take both. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no low bar for me. Yeah. I think I'm at a place where like Christianity, but also like practicing, but not necessarily denomination. I think for now, just because I am open to doing church on 2 days. Why not? Right? But like, as long as there's still the shared values within what we both, no. As long as there's like shared morals and values within Christianity, I think we can work on like, the day that we go to church. I feel like I can be open to, doing both, doing one. I don't know, as long as like.
So for me, I have dated people. So based on my experience, I guess, I've dated people that they didn't know God. And it's a no for me. It's a no. Because you were saying like about the kids. I don't want confusion from kids. And even though I'm not the most strict, like you say, Christian, I am not. I have a different relationship with my God. If I have kids, I want them to know the truth, And then again, God has people everywhere, not only SDA. I'm pretty sure about that. So yes, we gotta keep it open. Gotta keep the mind open about that, because you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who is out there, trying to find God. And maybe it's not that you're gonna save them, but you're like a bridge for that person. And if you follow your steps, like the friendship part, you're not gonna mess anything up. Like, do the things in a correct way, and things will.
Yeah. Godly way.
And
we have to end it short.
Yeah.
You know what we can do? We can do a live and then finish the questions or something like that. We'll figure it out, but we're gonna answer more questions for you.
Yeah, we're gonna do the questions part in another video. So this is it for now. We'll see how we make this work.
Share, repost, like,
comment, subscribe,
leave a review,
favorite.
And then rate
on Spotify. Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Bye. Thank you.